Hey guys, we're going to be talking about CSS shapes. It's a super cool style that's going to give your website that polish and organic feel. So let's take a look at some of the code and how we do that. So here we have a little website that is going to showcase how CSS shape works. Basically what it's doing is allowing you to change the shape of an image for the text to flow around. If we take a look down here, we can see kind of what I'm talking about, where we can see that the text goes around Garfield in like this nice curve. And you know, normally when we see something like this, like a floated text, it kind of looks more like, just gonna change that. That's more of the behavior that we would normally see in a with a float that doesn't have anything. And then if we gave it a float left, we got rid of that shape. This is what we would normally see. And this is what most websites use. And it's like they just don't know about this style. But if we give it a shape outside, then we can get a little bit cooler shape. This is just an ellipse. And if we go down, we can see that there's a circle around Garfield. And then if we go down here, we can see there's a square around him. So it might not look like this Garfield has CSS shape outside, but it does. We can even inspect the shapes. Starting at the top, we can see that we have a polygon that I drew. I drew this. I made the points, which is essentially like using like the pen tool in Adobe or Photoshop if you're familiar with that. We can see there's an oval here. It's like a little off-center circle here and a square there. With this extension from Chrome, we're able to manipulate our shapes within the browser. So I can click on it and I can see all the polygons that I have, which will allow me to do cool stuff like that. Because essentially what we're doing is saying, hey text, listen to my shape. It's very important that you listen to my shape. And then we go down to this Garfield. Well, I'll show you this one because I really messed this guy up playing around earlier. I can just move that circle right back. Look at that. Yeah, just move that shape right here in the circle. Looks a lot nicer. And then if we go here, then, you know, again, it's just a square. But here's the cool thing about this square is I would think that ClipPath would be better at doing this, but that's just not what ClipPath does. When you're working with like Illustrator or Photoshop, you want to clip an image, you're basically like cropping, but not in CSS. When you inset, you still have the shape around the image, you just are like clipping out some of the image. But inset will allow you to kind of get that effect. So I'm changing how much of the right side of that shape. How much text can come in, essentially. Let's take a look at the code, and I can show you what I'm talking about. You can see here that here's that polygon, and to write all that, basically you make the adjustments in the console, in the element, in the inspector, and then you can just rip it from there. But then we go down here, we can see it it's like the same thing as margin, where we can say this is the top, right, bottom, left. And then if we just play with it, you can see that Garfield is changing. So you can get some cool looking stuff out of this. I highly recommend branching out and playing with CSS shape to make your website look just that much more polished. People remember that stuff. People look, and when they see, you know, interesting things they don't normally see, it really sticks to you because it's just not something you normally see in websites. Everyone's very boring and basic. You know, like if you go like a big website like Walmart, you're not going to see anything all that interesting. So I highly suggest taking advantage of CSS Shape to pump up your website. So thank you for watching, and like and subscribe.